Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. With these lights, I can't even see people here. But it's great to be here and very topical, especially just after Dr. Geeta. She's a typical great example of Indian women founders. Even though I can't see very clearly, but I'm curious, out of everybody here, who has a mother, aunt, or someone in that generation who has, generated their own financial income? I'm just curious. Okay. How many people here, women, are generating their own financial income? And it could be a startup also. You may not be making money, but how many people here? Okay. Anyone with daughters who are currently generating their own financial income? Well, one. Maybe we have a younger crowd here. So this is a topic very, very close to my heart. I want to talk about some numbers here. So out of all the unicorns in India, there are 20 of them. You must have heard that India ranks third in the global startup ecosystem. But we rank second after the US in all-time funding for these types of tech startups. These particular startups have raised almost $1 billion by the end of 2024. They've created almost 25 million jobs. They constitute almost 50% of the startups that are recognized by the Startup India initiative. 80% of rural enterprises are completely self-financed, so they're not looking for funding. And these startups are generating 35% more return on investment than the overall startups. So there's one thing common across all these numbers, and these are women-driven startups. So the numbers, give yourself a hand. The numbers are very, very impressive. A couple of quotes, that I really like, and, a couple of speakers have talked about different quotes. You look at somebody like Marie Curie. I mean, we're talking about the late 1800s, early 1900s, and something that's really, really relevant for all of us today. Life is not easy for any of us, but what of that? We must have perseverance, and a couple of speakers just now mentioned that, and confidence in ourselves. We must believe that we are gifted for something and that this thing must be attained. Another really nice quote I like is by the writer Ayn Rand. The question isn't who is going to let me. The question is who is going to stop me. A lot of times we pause and think about, do I have permission? Is somebody going to let me do this? Move to the next level? Start my own enterprise? But I think we need to change a mindset. Like, who's going to stop me? If I want to do it, let me go ahead. In the whole startup ecosystem for women, along the way, and especially over the past 5-7 years, there have been a lot of enablers that have helped women entrepreneurs. Women themselves have worked really hard to take care of and take advantage of. 2 speakers ago, the speaker mentioned take advantage of opportunities. Yes, they are limited, but women have tended to take more advantage of the opportunities, limited they may be. And with any ecosystem, not just women, ecosystems grow when you have role models. Over the past few years, we have seen a lot of women who have succeeded as entrepreneurs, and that has created a self-sustaining ecosystem, because women who succeed are then ending up being mentors to help other women succeed. And not only entrepreneurs, women who have created unicorns, have taken them to IPO, but we see a lot of second-generation daughters who are now heading large companies. Roshina, they're from HCL. All of these people are role models that are helping the next generation, focus and believe, yes, this is something I can do. There are a lot more women investors in the last 5 years than there have been before. There are a lot of government programs that are out there. Funds, funding, grants, incubators, programs that are supporting the whole women startup ecosystem. And These days, in India especially, we're talking about a lot of tech startups. You know, Dr. Geeta talked about an AI-based startup. All these come out of our institutes. Even the IITs, which have, you know, I myself am an IIT alum. You know, just to give you some numbers, I graduated in 1993. There were 11 women in a batch of about 370. Now, women in technology are growing. Even in the IITs, there are almost 20% women that are coming out with a tech background. If you look at these numbers, I know you can't see them, but women-led startups are all over the place, whether you talk about internet, technology, fashion, market, groceries, education, health tech. A lot of you must be familiar with a lot of these names. You know, Nykaa, India's unicorn, Bliss Club, Sugar Cosmetics, Biocon, MobiKwik, Mama Earth. So the role models are not less, and they continue to grow. So women entrepreneurs are really making it big and continue to do so. So where do we go from here? India is targeted to be a 5 trillion plus economy, 5 trillion US dollar economy by 2030. Our goal is to go up one place from that third largest startup ecosystem to be the second largest startup ecosystem. We are focused on growing our technology-based startups, you know, be it space tech, be it semiconductors, health tech, manufacturing. You know, India is starting a lot of funds and organizations, you know, for space support. There's a quantum mission, there's an AI mission. So a lot of support from the government to do these. The startup ecosystems are no longer just limited to the tier 1 cities. Almost 50% are coming out of our tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and it's continuing to grow. And you know, very interestingly, you know, there was a report recently by Bain and Google that says, you know, I had mentioned a number, 25 million jobs, and this is not only women entrepreneurs, but they can generate almost 150 million jobs by 2030. 150 million, if we support them and help them grow. None of this, you know, becoming a $5 trillion economy, becoming the second largest startup ecosystem globally, is going to happen without our women entrepreneurs getting out there. Women are almost 50% of India's population today. So without women growing and entrepreneurship growing, we're not going to hit these targets. So what is the ask? And the ask for all of us, not just us in this room, not just the women, but how do we enable the women entrepreneurs to move up to the next level? And what do I mean by that? You know, just to give all of you a little bit of perspectives, people who may not be as familiar, there are certain stages in the life cycle of a startup. You know, the first stage is you think of an idea. You know, what is the problem I'm trying to solve? Who am I solving it for? Is somebody actually going to pay me to solve it? So when an entrepreneur goes for funding, this is a fundamental set of questions that you will be asked first. Along this way, you know, what does somebody need? You need advisors. You need a mentor who can guide you. A lot of times, you know, we forget to ask for help. And I think, you know, that's a trait of us women, where we don't ask for help as often. But we need to be mentors, advisors, to help entrepreneurs at this early stage to understand this. The next stage is, okay, you've identified an idea, you think you're solving a problem, you think, you know, you've identified a particular target market that you're solving it for, and you believe that that market is going to pay you for this. Next, you actually have to build your solution, whether it's a solution, whether it's an app, whether it's a product. You have to build a minimum viable product that you can go out there and test with your customers. You have to do what is called a product market fit. You had a problem, you've built a product, now does it actually address the problem for your target market? And a lot of times, this is an iterative process. And then finally, you have to find a strategy of how do you take this to the market? How do you actually reach your customers? How do you price it? And again, there's a lot of support that is needed by entrepreneurs at this stage. There's a network. A lot of things happen through referrals. Can you go to a company that will help you reach out to their customers? There are a lot of incubators that are out there that are set up to help startups at this stage. A lot of women entrepreneurs are not even aware of them. There's a lot of support at this stage, incubators to take you there. Then when you've gone to market, you've built it out, you've tested it, the next stage of a startup is actually growing it and scaling it. How are you going to go from 100 customers to 10,000 customers? One of the biggest roadblocks at this point is talent and hiring the right people. Again, you need to leverage the networks, the people to become available. You need to be able to access a larger customer base. That's, again, where your mentors, your advisors, your networks, your incubators can help you. And you need to scale up your operations. Finally, you've gotten to a stage, you've grown, you've scaled. What's next for you? You may exit in the sense that, an organization may decide to kind of buy you out. You may merge with a larger startup. You may go IPO. And again, the need of the day at that time is your connections, your network, and your advisors. Along the way, there's a funding cycle, and I've deliberately put these separately. The first stage is actually going to your friends and family. Nobody is going to invest in you unless they see you have skin in the game. And if you cannot convince your friends and family to invest in you, it's very unlikely that an external investor is going to invest in you. So you start with, your friends and family. You then go to what is called an angel investor. It's an individual out there who wants to invest, a few lakhs, not very sure, but, they like your idea and they're willing to give you some money. The next is when you start going to funds, what we call as seed level funding. So that is when you start going bigger. And then finally, after seed, you have Series A, Series B, Series C, E, F, and your final kind of buyouts and exits. Beyond these, there are a lot of sources of funds, especially at the early stage when you're still testing, you're still building out your minimum viable product. There are a lot of grants out there. What a lot of entrepreneurs miss out on is there are a lot of these competitions that happen across these institutes, across these incubators. And there are a lot of grants that come out of there. And what also comes out of this is not only the money, but the networking and the recognition, the social media. Incubators typically will either give you grants or give you some money for very small kind of equity or percentage of your company. But then they'll give you the network. If you have a product, they'll give you the labs to test it. They'll give you access to other investors. They will give you access to maybe other founders. And let's not forget a lot of the government schemes and grants that are out there. Oftentimes, entrepreneurs tend to forget this. In addition to all the schemes that are out there, there are a lot of government women-targeted schemes. The Women Entrepreneurship Platform, the Pradhan Mantri Startup Yojana. And another piece, when you're at the scale of when you're scaling up, a lot of corporate organizations, which again a lot of entrepreneurs tend to forget, are out there. In today's world, a lot of companies are now looking to bring in startup solutions. They realize they don't have the R&D, the time, the resources to actually build the solutions. And why should they build it when it's already out there? There's a lot of FOMO going on there because they see their competitors are now doing it. And now a lot of companies are trying to get on board. So I get back to the question of, how can we, not only women, but the whole ecosystem, enable our women entrepreneurs to succeed? And this is truly a case of when it takes a village. It's not only about funding, getting money. It really takes a village to help build the ecosystem right throughout the life cycle of a startup. And again, these are some people tend to forget. Look at your alumni networks from your institutes. Look at people who've been there, done that. Go on LinkedIn, reach out to your alumni. You'll be surprised at how many people are willing to help out. Even to be a connection and say, hey, can you introduce me to this angel investor, or can you introduce me to this corporate? Those referrals make a big difference. Look out for mentors and investors. Many of us who may be in the industry, go talk, go to your own college and institute and just say, I'm here. Does somebody ever want to contact me? Happy to answer a question. And the questions from the women entrepreneurs won't always be about, this technology, this business, this funding. They may be very, very simple questions. How do I give a presentation? They may want to give you a presentation, use you as a sounding board. So all of us here, there's a lot we can do to mentor and advise. Be informed about all the government grants and programs that are out there. Everybody thinks, okay, government money, hard to get. Yes and no. It's getting easier. If you're working at a company, can you help an entrepreneur in terms of testing or validating? Are you a professor at an institute that can help somebody test out their product? A lot of us can simply be coaches. Coach in presentation, coach in different aspects, maybe coach in some skills that the entrepreneurs need. And the last one I want to spend, what is very different about what support a woman entrepreneur needs from a male entrepreneur is a social support structure. Every woman entrepreneur or in business who has succeeded has had a social support structure. You've heard people about, can I take my daughter to work? Can I take my baby with me? We really need to create this social support structure, be it friends, be it family, be it the spouse, be it the parents. And I think that is a key element to really help the women entrepreneurs go and succeed. We tend to under-leverage our strengths, Every woman has the ability, we create networks of information. You look at us living in these apartment complexes. Anything you want, there's a network you can go ask. That's exactly what an entrepreneur needs, to build a network. We're good at multitasking. We're good at problem solving. And we're really resilient. We tend to not leverage these strengths when we are building our own business. We tend to forget about them. And with that, I will stop. For those of you who may not know this, so Obama, who was the president of the US, he ran his campaign on this slogan, yes, we can. And I want you guys, I want to leave you with that thought. You can do it. Yes, we can. Think about it. It doesn't have to be, yes, I can. It has to be, yes, we can, because we need this ecosystem to help our women entrepreneurs grow. Thanks so much.